The 18th century witnessed the transformation from an agrarian economy to an industrial one of the vital social changes taking place in the Western world. An increasing number of people moved from their villages and small towns to big cities where life was quite different. Social supports which had previously existed in smaller communities were replaced by ruthless problems such as poverty, crime, substandard housing and disease. Due to the need for additional income to support the family, young children from the poorest families were forced into early employment and thus their childhood became painfully short. Children as young as 7 might be required to work full-time, subjected to unpleasant and unhealthy circumstances, from factories to prostitution. Although such a role has disappeared in most wealthy countries, the practice of childhood employment still remains a staple in underdeveloped countries and rarely disappeared entirely. Some people don't believe that this kind of restructuring is sufficient. Clayton Christensen argues in new book that big firms' many advantages, such as taking care of their existing customers, can get in the way of innovative behavior that is necessary for handling disruptive technologies. That's why there's been the trend of cannibalization, which brings about businesses that will confront and jeopardize the existing ones. For example, Bank One has set up Wingspan, which is an online bank that in fact compete with its actual branches. Your culture may influence your clothing, your language, and many aspects of your life. But is culture influential enough to change the way an individual thinks? It has long been believed that people from different cultures would think differently. For example, a young boy from a farm would talk about cows while a boy from New York will talk about cars. If 2 young children from different countries are asked about their thoughts about a painting, they would answer differently because of their cultural backgrounds. Brando was not the first person to note that the line between an artist and a liar is a line 1. If art is a kind of lying, then lying is a form of art, albeit of a lower order, as Oscar Wilde and Mark Twain have observed. Indeed, lying and artistic storytelling spring from a common neurological root, one that is exposed in the cases of psychiatric patients who suffer from a particular kind of impairment. Both liars and artists refuse to accept the tyranny of reality. Both carefully craft stories that are worthy of belief, a skill requiring intellectual sophistication, emotional sensitivity and physical self-control. Liars are writers and performers of their own work. Such parallels are hardly coincidental, as I discovered while researching my book on lying. A basic idea in general semantics, therefore, is that the meaning of words, or other symbols, is not in the words, but in our own semantic reactions. If I were to tell a shockingly obscene story in Arabic or Hindustani or Swahili before an audience that understood only English, no one would blush or be angry. The story would be neither shocking nor obscene-induced, it would not even be a story. Likewise, the value of a dollar bill is not in the bill, but in our social agreement to accept it as a symbol of value. If that agreement were to break down through the collapse of our government, the dollar bill would become only a scrap of paper. We do not understand a dollar bill by staring at it long and hard. We understand it by observing how people act with respect to it. We understand it by understanding the social mechanisms and the loyalties that keep it meaningful. Semantics is therefore a social study, basic to all other social studies.